Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I am super excited to welcome as a guest Amy Robeson. Amy is a Master Akashic Records Teacher, light language master, and mentor who helps people tap into their most powerful inner potential to experience profound transformation and magic. She is passionate about exploring spiritual concepts and truths and encourages her students to get curious and stay curious. As the founder of Sacred Awakening, she has created a powerful Akashic Records program, allowing her students to receive answers in any area of their life so they can live an empowered, aligned life. Amy is the perfect guide breaking down complex spiritual concepts to meet her students where they are and helping them overcome roadblocks, outdated beliefs, and even trauma to achieve their highest good. Welcome, Amy. So excited to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to have this chat too, because I always love connecting with other people who work in the Akashic Records. It's so fun. And so with that being said, I'd love to just jump right in and have you share with us, what led you to this work? Because I found in my experience that the Akashic Records typically call to us in some way.
Yeah, and they totally do. When the student's ready, the records will appear and then they'll start speaking louder if you're really, really ready. So for me, the records kind of found me. I started diving into different spiritual modalities because I was in a dark place and I wanted to get out of that dark place. And so I found my very first teacher that had similar channeling abilities as Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce was a big channeler of the Akashic Records. And that particular teacher taught me how to do different things from dream interpretation to meditation to automatic writing. And I found the records unconsciously through that work with her. And then when I discovered what the Akashic Records were and I started studying them and looking at them, I discovered that I've been playing in the records since I was a kid and that I've had access to them. And they're one of my most favorite spiritual tools for for self-discovery in general.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned before that you studied Reiki as well, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So I love Reiki. Reiki was one of the things that brought me into other modalities. It was one of those things. I'm a big believer, if your heart says yes to do something, just do it. And for me, my heart, like I was actually gonna go water skiing with my husband and some friends, and I asked a friend if she wanted to go, and she's like, no, I don't want to go. I'm like, why? She's like, I'm doing something really weird. And like my heart was like, I don't know what she's doing, but I have to go and do that. And she's like, I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, Reiki. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm supposed to go. Can I come? So I just learned, I just got certified and I never had a session before. I just knew that I was supposed to do it. And then I became a Reiki master teacher. And like, I think it's a great foundational tool for a lot of people out there to just get and learn and to assist with many different things.
Yeah, absolutely. I've studied Reiki as well and found the same for it to be really like a gateway. It opened up so much for me when I chose to study it as well. I just find that so fascinating how, the steps of our journey and how it's like divine breadcrumbs or something. Like we're called to do something and we do that, and then it opens another door and another door. It's so cool. I'd love to have you share with us more about how do you who are the clients that typically come to you, and what is your process for holding space for them to achieve the transformation they desire?
Oh, that's a great question. So I have people from all walks of life. Like I have people that have been playing in the spiritual realm for a long time. And then I have people that are just starting on their spiritual path where they're just starting to awaken. I think the most common denominator is that someone is wanting to have a different life and they're wanting to have tools to have a different life. And sometimes people are attracted to the records, or they might find me through light language or something like that. And the main thing is whoever I'm with is someone that wants to better themselves in some way, shape, or form and is willing to do the work. Because I can't do the work for you. I can give you a bunch of tools, I can give you a bunch of things that are going to support you, but you are the person that decide if you want to change and how you want to change and put the work in to change. If you put the work in, man, magical things happen in just a short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how long, I mean, well, everyone's path is unique, so but how long is it optimal to work with you to receive that transformation?
Oh, well, so for me, like I have no requirement on the amount of time, right? And
Mhm.
so most people have me through Sacred Awakening, my Akashic Record program. That's usually a 4-month long program. And what my students have said is that it's life changing. And here's the things that they have learned time. And some people are guided to move on to the next level in our Akashic Record program. Some people take a break. Some people decide, oh, I want to learn light language because I speak light language in the healings and the transmissions that I give. And so a lot of times that will activate other people's light language, because when you listen or hear or around someone that speaks light language or is performing light language in other forms, that can activate your light language as well. And so it just depends. Like I've had clients that have been with me for years, and I have had clients that they'll just take one course and then they're moving on to the next thing that they feel is what's right for their soul. The thing is like, you don't have to stay with the teacher for life. Like that's not the object or
Yeah,
the thing that I always want people to recognize, that they're their best healer, and you have to know that what's right for you, what path is right for you, and not to get shiny object syndrome or not to feel bad if the next thing is to go do something else, because we're not always going to be on the same path together, and that's okay. And sometimes we take breaks and sometimes we come back and sometimes it's just one and done, and we're complete with our journey together. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about this work, is we get to meet people from all walks of life and from all different areas, from all different backgrounds, and it's such a beautiful honor to be on someone's journey with them for however long of time that is.
absolutely. Yes. I found when we are going into something with more of a willingness and less resistance, right, to shift, that can make all the difference in how
Yeah,
fast that timeline changes.
definitely. But like I'm a big believer in, when you do have resistance, that's where the records can really come in. It's like, why am I resisting this? Because there's a reason why you're resisting it. And when you can ask those questions, instead of being in the cycle of avoidance or sabotage or resistance, whatever, that's the time to actually get curious and be very honest with yourself. Like, hey, I'm resisting this. Clearly, this is something that is really important for me to take a look at if I want to have change. And oftentimes where change comes out to be the most profound is when you're willing to do something different than you've done in the past.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to share with us more about like light language. How did you activate your light language?
And it was interesting. I heard someone speak it, and the guardians of my Akashic records were like, we want you to start speaking that. And I'm like, you want me to do what? And they're like, we want you to start speaking it. It's very important. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm already weird enough. Like, please don't make me do that. And they're like, no, it's really important that this is part of like your transmissions. These are part of the healings that you're meant to do. And so I had to come with terms with one, being willing to put myself in a really uncomfortable place with it and put myself out there doing it, because it's really, I do light language and I still think it's really strange. And for anybody that doesn't know what light language is the cosmic language of your soul. Every symbol, every movement, every sound holds paragraphs of information that move past the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, works with the higher self. And what it does is it assists you in releasing yourself from the trances that you may be in, because we go into different trances that program us to behave and to act and to think a certain way. And so what light language does is it goes in there and it zaps you out of that trance. And it's really beautiful. And so for me, I had to be willing to do it. And I just started hiking, and I started channeling, and I started giving myself permission to do it in a place that I didn't feel vulnerable, but I felt safe in allowing myself to speak light language. And when I started doing it, what I realized is, wait a second, I used to do this as a kid with my older sister, and we would speak in light language to each other. And we had this own little language that her and I would know what we were talking about, and we would do it all the time. And it wasn't until I gave myself permission to start doing it as an adult where I was like, oh, I've done this before, and it was a lot of fun. And so now I do it, and it's really fun. And I get people that I would not think would be into it. And they're just like, Amy, it was so amazing. Thank you for doing that. And it's super healing, because there's not words sometimes that are in the human language that can be translated during a healing that wants to be shared. And I think that that's really important to understand, because something happens. And I've had a client tell me this. He's like, Amy, I was like starting to drift off in the healing. And it was like the second you spoke light language, my higher self said, wake up, listen, like something really is important is happening here. And he's like, I got super in tuned where I wasn't like that. And it's just like the extra cherry on top that I find with healings, meditations, journeys that can be really helpful.
Yeah, that's so cool. So light language, do you believe that everybody has their own light language?
Yeah, I think that it's everybody's birthright to speak it. I think everybody has the birthright to access their records. Everybody has the birthright and ability to perform light language, because there's symbols, there's movement, and then there's sound. And so everybody can be attracted to one form over the other. For me, my form is a lot of spoken versus movement, but I also do movement. I do symbols as well. So if you're attracted to it, I say go for it. And in the most important thing that I think that it's really important for people to know too is that not everybody's light language serves your highest good. And I think that just like not everyone's healing or meditation or free YouTube channel serves your highest good. Your frequency is tuning into a frequency, and it has to be a frequency that serves your highest good, that's going to be of benefit to you. And someone's light language can be of the highest light, but you might be working on something that doesn't serve your highest good to listen to that transmission, because it could take you off course. And so it's really important to trust and to not just go deep dive into anybody's light language. You want to make sure that you use discernment, just like you use discernment on the things you consume and the things you eat.
I love this topic of discernment. What would be your number one piece of advice for someone to, get more in tuned to their ability to discern truth, right? Because there's a ton of noise out there.
That is such a good question. And I'm going to tell you this, it is not giving your power away. It is so important that you stand in your power and you look at the whole situation. And I think that the records are really great with helping with this, where the guardians will give you a 360-degree perspective. They'll give you an alternative perspective to the things that you may not have considered. Where with discernment, it's so often someone will go, and I'll just use this as like an example. It's like, hey, I went on that diet and that diet didn't work. Well, you're giving your power away if you're saying it didn't work because that the facilitator didn't do this, and this is stupid because they're having me count calories, or this is happening because of this, whatever it is. It's when we get into that story of why something didn't work, or why something isn't going your way. And it doesn't have to be necessarily like a diet program, but something might not be going your way. Do you have the ability to discern what your accountability is in that particular situation? And I think that if people can start with that and taking accountability for their own actions, their own thoughts, their own deeds, it helps with discerning other things. And a good question to ask yourself is, am I giving my power away? Because oftentimes too, and this happens in the spiritual community, where someone will be like, I want to heal, and then they do the healing and they're like, that didn't work for me, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. That didn't work for me. Well, why didn't it work for you? Because that's the part where you got to discern. Why didn't it work for you? Is it your thoughts? Did you put action behind it? Do you believe that you're worthy of receiving whatever it is that you're wanting to receive? Are you taking inspired action? What part is that what part of it is your part in taking accountability for it not working, and what part of it can you look at and see how you might have given your power away to something in the past, because that will also help with understanding the nuances of giving our power away as well. And our whole part of our mission and our purpose here in this human form is to understand the power that we hold. And if you can recognize that and step back into it and take accountability in a consistent basis, you have the ability to start discerning a lot more too. And it's a funny way to think about discernment.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Also, what's coming forward around that is, being honest with ourselves about our true motives behind why we're choosing to pursue something, right? Because that can also, when something isn't in our perception, isn't working out, it's like, okay, well, what was the real reason why we chose to do it in the first place? And was it a reason that was for our highest good, or was it really more ego-based?
Exactly. And I think, like, for me, the other day I was totally in my ego, and I had to do something super uncomfortable. So I had to really sit back and be honest with myself. One is, I'm in an uncomfortable place where I'm being asked to do something that I don't want to do, but I know that I have to do it in order to move the needle to the next space that I want it to be. And that requires me showing up in a different way. And it is okay to be in your ego when you recognize that you're in your ego. And so I also recognize when I was doing this that, hey, I'm sitting here pouting. I want to be in self-sabotage mode, but I know that that doesn't serve my highest good. And so I'm just going to sit here and give myself a moment. And then I'm going to hug my ego. I'm going to thank her. And then we're going to proudly get up and move to the next part of where we need to be. And I think that that's really important when we're on our soul's evolution, is being okay with being human and being okay with, hey, I'm having this moment and now let's move on from it, because we know it doesn't serve the highest good. So let's move to the next thing that's going to serve the highest good.
Yes, being at peace with being human. Yes, yes, yes. There's so much programming, right, out there around that, labeling our experiences like they're either right or they're wrong. And every experience is just that. It's an experience and an opportunity for evolution. And it really is a game changer when we can reframe our perspective around that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I love about it is that we get to have this experience.
Yes.
We get to have this human experience. We get to experience feelings and smells and scents and emotions beyond our wildest imagination, like grief and happiness and bliss and sorrow. And we get to have all of those. And it is an absolute privilege and honor that we get to have those, because we chose to have that. And that's the thing that we have to keep coming back to, that I think is important.
Yes, so true. Absolutely. Amy, what does living with an awakened heart mean to you?
Oh, I like this question. For me, it's living in alignment and constantly being curious about yourself and your actions and your words and your deeds and your thoughts and what that looks like, and giving yourself permission to change what maybe you once thought was good or what you once thought was aligned, and giving yourself permission to redirect anytime that you're being guided to redirect, because we have many chapters and many purposes in our life, and we don't have to be the same person that everyone expects you to be. And you get to have permission to change your mind anytime you want, and be in love with being in love with life. And that's the cool part about this journey.
Being in love with being in love with life. I love that. I had another love in there. Thank you for that. Amy, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward at this time? Just anything intuitively that might be coming forward.
Oh, do you mind if I channel a message from the guardians?
Anything that you want that's coming forward.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. So one of the things, I always like asking hosts this, what is something that you're working on or struggling with, or wanting to do? And that helps me get connected with your audience too.
Gosh, interestingly, the first thing that comes forward is I've started channeling these higher frequency teachings. It's like a new project, a new something that I'm doing.
What are you scared of?
Um, so interesting you're asking this. Okay, so I'm just going with what's coming forward is that when I first started doing this work, my body went into this, like I got like I got sick for a few weeks.
Yeah.
It was almost like everything was moving along, and then I got the ascension flu, I guess is the best way that you would put it, right? I ended up, my body kind of went into this state of being sick for a few weeks. And then since then, I've been a bit challenged with like getting back on consistently like I was before. We had time that we sat together every day, and they gave me the teachings and I channeled them, and I'm putting them into the form of a book. So when you say scared, I feel like there's a part of my body that is probably a little apprehensive about, taking that on.
Yeah, well, the physical body and the electrical system in the physical body, it's if we just awaken like that, like full blown, know everything about the universe, like our electrical system, our nervous system wouldn't be able to handle that. So it's a very good response that your physical body is nervous about taking on too much that it can't handle, but you also don't want to be like pushing it away.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm getting from the guardians, and for your listeners, anything that resonates with you that I'm about to share with Jennifer is for you. Anything that doesn't, leave it behind. So I'm going to share something for you, and then I'm going to share also something overall. What the guardians are saying is it's really important to take a step back and remind your physical body and your emotional body that you are safe to channel in a way that you have never experienced before. So let me say that again, that you're safe to channel in a way that you've never experienced before, because that safety actually acts as your anchor. And anytime we're doing something new, or anytime we've been, the analogy that they're giving me, like snipped by a mouse trap, like all of a sudden you're scared to put your finger back in a place that might have a mouse trap, right? And so they're saying that we have to reprogram the actual system to remind it that it's safe, and just those cues itself is going to be helpful. The other thing you can do is work with black tourmaline as you're doing your transmissions, so that it becomes more of an anchor and a channeling system, so it's not going through your physical body.
Thank you so much
Does that
for
make sense, what I'm saying?
As you were starting to share, like I can feel the energy of that grounding in, like it feels a lot more grounded. So thank you for that.
Good. And then the overall message for your listeners is that we are in a great time of there. I love how they're saying this. We're in a great time of epiphanies, and these epiphanies can come through with little moments of silence. We live in a very busy world where there's this misconception that you need to sit down for 10 minutes, because even 10 minutes feels like a long time for some people, but or 30 minutes or whatever. But they're saying little moments of silence throughout the day is so key. And if you work in an environment, or you're in an environment that's really noisy all the time, it's really important to find silence. And that silence might not be complete pure silence, meaning you might work in a building, or you might be in a house that you have rowdy kids, where you can just go outside for 10 conscious breaths, and it allows you to just hit the reset button. And these little moments of silence provide openings for those epiphanies that people are looking for. And the epiphanies are another way of saying downloads, another way of saying a new level of consciousness, awakening, a message that you're going to receive. And it's because you're taking the moment to clear your energy, to be open and open to receive, but they're also saying accessible to receive. Because if you're not accessible to receive and your cup's completely full, you're not going to be able to actually receive what the universe is wanting to gift you. And so little moments of silence open the door for many epiphanies. So I hope that's helpful.
That is tremendously helpful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Amy, you had a free gift, right? That you wanted to share with the audience today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested, I have 20 plus free healings that you can get access to on my website. It's theamyrobeson.com/free, and that's TheamyRobeson.com/free, FREE. And I have all sorts of different healings. We have like a money healing, new beginning healing, inner child healing. There's all sorts of different healings. So if there's something you're looking for, it's on there. And I do different free things, and I have a podcast called Awakening with Amy Robeson. So if you're interested in learning more, just go check out my website or follow me on YouTube or on wherever you listen to podcasts.
And you intuitively answered my next question, which was, where is the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect. It can be through my website or YouTube, which is Amy Robeson. I'm also on Facebook. We have a free Facebook group as well that we have a lot of different things that go on in there. It's Awakening with Amy Robeson, same as my podcast name. So I'm on all of the channels, most of the stuff, not all of them. There's so many new things out there.
There is so many. But we'll have the links that Amy's mentioned in the show notes for everyone to easily access as well. Amy, what an absolute pleasure. I mean, really a joy to connect with you today. I just so honor you and appreciate you and all that you do and who you are. So thank you for being a guest and for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.